Hi, I'm R.C. Wilkinson. I'm from Open Door Ministries, Long Beach, California. I'm the associate pastor there, and I want to start off this new series we call Learning to Speak Christian. One of my favorite movies is the movie Princess Bride. In that movie, there's a great character, Vizzini, who keeps using one word over and over again, inconceivable. And eventually, one of the other characters, Inigo Montoya, says, I don't think that word means what you think it means. And oftentimes when you step into a church, you hear a lot of Christianese words, and unfortunately, those words don't mean what we think they mean. So I'm here to explain a few of those words. One of the words I really want to tackle today is the word abomination. Oftentimes when we hear this word, we think about all those people out there with the big signs, foaming at the mouth, big glaring eyes yelling, "You're an abomination, it's an abomination." And I don't think that word means what they think it means. Let's start off with, where did this word come from? The word first appears in the book of Genesis, and it's a Hebrew word. And the word that's actually used is to'ebah, and it means something that's disgusting or something that's not acceptable. The first time we see the word is used by Joseph and his brothers. Joseph, who had been taken off to Egypt and had risen to a place of power, was awaiting for his brothers to come. And his brothers were unsure about whether or not they could actually go and speak to the Egyptians, because according to Egyptian religion, anybody who worked with cattle or sheep were considered to'ebah, were considered an abomination, something disgusting. It had to do with their religion. Second time that we see it, it has to do with Moses. Moses was trying to leave Egypt into the promised land, and the Egyptians said, well, why don't you go out and sacrifice to your God? And Moses said, well, we can't do that because the things that we sacrifice, goats and sheep, are considered to'ebah, are considered an abomination to your people, something that is not acceptable. And so this word actually means more or less something that is taboo or something that is unacceptable. Later in the book of Leviticus, as the word becomes more frequently used, we see it used as being unclean. There are lots of things listed in the book of Leviticus as unclean. For example, eating an eel, or eating an ostrich, eating shrimp, or even eating a penguin, if you are so inclined to do that. All these things were considered unacceptable. To'ebah mostly relates to things that are unacceptable or contrary to proper religion. They are considered unclean. However, there is another word that oftentimes is used for abomination, and that is shakutz, which means usually related to idolatry or the improper practice of religion. And this is where that famous verse in Leviticus chapter 18 comes in, where it talks about man shall not lie with man as he does with women. It is an abomination. In other words, it's an improper form of religious conduct. If you look at the entire chapter of Leviticus chapter 18, you'll see that listed in there are a whole bunch of sexual relations, and, interestingly mixed in, that you shall not sacrifice your children to Moloch, or to have images of Moloch. In other words, this was a chapter about Canaanite religion and the things you were allowed and not allowed to do. So the Lord said that all of these sexual practices would be considered to'ebah, something that was not appropriate religion for the Hebrews to be practicing. Interesting enough, there are lots of other things that are considered abominations as well. One of the things that are considered a major abomination, of course, is improper scales or balances. It was considered an abomination or something disgusting to the Lord to go into the marketplace and for somebody to rip you off by altering the scales or changing the balances so that you had to pay more for whatever goods or services you were receiving. So the next time you see a whole bunch of people standing out there shouting, "You're an abomination," perhaps you need to say, "I don't think you understand what that word means." There is a list in Proverbs of 6 things, yea, even 7, which is a Hebrew idiom saying that, wow, this is quite a bit. 7 things that the Lord considers an abomination. Let me read them off to you. Here they are. There are 6 things that the Lord hates, 7 that are an abomination to him. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that make haste to run to evil, a false witness who breathes out lies, and one who sows discord among the brothers. These things are all things that are considered unclean or improper forms of worship. In fact, when you see somebody yelling abomination, ask them, how exactly am I performing an improper act of worship here? And maybe they'll stop to wonder, what does that word really mean? Okay, so that's your word for now. I'll see you next time as we come back with some more Christian words as we continue to learn to speak Christian. Until then, take care.